Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Create. We're going to have an interesting day today. My name is Mike McCurry. I'm here with my sidekick, Mark McKinnon, and together we are co-chairs of a coalition called Arts+Labs. That's the group that is sponsoring Create today. Arts+Labs is a coalition of technology and creative companies that came together with the idea that many of the issues that we're facing in the digital age will be better addressed through collaboration rather than litigation and confrontation, which has very, very often been the model in which many of these issues do get addressed. Our members include the American Society of Composers, Authors, and Publishers, AT&T, Broadcast Music, Inc., Cisco, Microsoft, NBC Universal, Songwriters Guild of America, Verizon, and Viacom. And many folks from those companies are here with us today, and also folks who have been doing the work to get this conference set up. And I'd like to just start with all of those who are associated with those companies. Could you stand so we could recognize you and just thank you for putting this up? Some of you are here. Let's give everyone a hand for being a part of that. Thank you. We're here today because there are lots of things brewing in Washington around some of the issues that I think occupy a lot of people in this room. We know a lot about some of the things that are happening that result in the theft of intellectual property. We know about rogue websites. We know about the magnitude of a problem that really saps our economy of jobs and economic activity and commerce. But what we lack is really clear consensus on what to do about that. There's legislation that's pending in Congress now, as all of you know. But there are different perspectives on how we should be addressing the problem of digital piracy and theft. And that's what we're going to be talking about today in a series of panels and discussions that focus on the perspectives that can be brought by those in the creative community, from the arts, from different people who are concerned about the protection of their own intellectual property, from the lawyers and lobbyists, and yes, we're here in Washington, so there are some of those here today too. But I think the conversation, we hope, will be one that sheds a little more light on an issue that sometimes has resulted in more friction and more confrontation than consensus. So that's our purpose today. We look forward to a very active and busy morning in our panels. And I'd like to turn it over to Mark now, who's going to introduce a very special guest that we have to start.
Thank you, Mike, and welcome everybody. In an earlier life, a much earlier life, I kicked around Nashville for about 5 years, trying to make it as a songwriter, and failed pretty spectacularly. One time I exercised any real wisdom in my life was to recognize the limits of my talent and switch gears. But I've continued to be a big fan and big supporter of the creative community. And it's remarkable to me to see how tough it was back then when I was trying to make it, and to look at the challenges that are presented today. I went back to Nashville just a year or two ago for the first time since I left in the mid-'70s, and I was just shocked to see what's happened to the business there. There are half as many songwriters there now as there were, if half. A specific example I can give you of the impact is that a major publishing house, when I was there, had over 100 staff songwriters. Today they have 12. So that's an idea of just what kind of impact the digital economy is having on the business. Now, of course, the digital economy presents great opportunities for artists, but it also represents great challenges. So that's what we're at Arts+Labs. We're trying to make sure that American creativity in the global digital economy thrives, and we want to make sure to figure out how best to make that happen. We want to figure out how to educate, how to embrace new business models, and have a collaborative discussion among the people who are at the table, who've often been, as Mike said, litigating against one another, to figure out how we can create an environment which embraces artists and encourages artistic creation.